What's up? I'm JGH. We're about a quarter of the way through the year, and I know for me personally, that means that I have gotten distracted from the goals that I set at the beginning of the year. I think that now is a good time to work on trying to reorient myself and refocus on my goals. The way that I'm gonna do that is by actually putting them down in my note-taking app and kind of detailing what those goals are and what I can do to make sure that I'm staying on task with those goals. And I figured that it might be interesting for me to bring you in on this side of the world of a full-time artist with a 9-to-5. What we're gonna start with right now are my goals and objectives. Not really choosing numeric goals or anything like that, more mindset, things like that. So one of the first things that I wanna start with is I want to have a consistent output of content on my YouTube page. The second thing that I want to do, which I've actually been staying pretty consistent with, is a consistent release schedule for my music. The third goal that I have is that I want to get into sync opportunities, which essentially, if you don't know, that's when your music is used for TV, film, or commercials, or anything else that is a visual medium. I think what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna build connections within the sync world. And I would say that the fourth and final goal that I have is to start establishing my fan base. So now what I'm about to do is I'm going to break down how I'm going to achieve these things. So starting with consistent YouTube content, first thing that I need to do is set up a consistent shoot schedule. Probably be shooting my videos a week in advance. And the other thing that I can do as well is probably do some batch recording for some of my other content ideas. I have a couple ideas for some music related content that I can create that I can really knock out a few different videos in one day. The other thing is have designated edit days. If I actually execute on these four things, I will actually be able to make a pretty good consistent output schedule for my YouTube content. Let's go to the next one, which is a consistent release schedule. Like I said, I'm actually doing a pretty good job with that. I put out my first single in January and I put out my second single in March. And my goal is to put out a new single every other month, and maybe the in-between months I might be throwing in some freebies like on SoundCloud or something like that. But despite that, there are still some things that I think I can do better. So for starters, I want to be able to decide what song I'm gonna be putting out about 2 months in advance. Most of the songs that I'm working on aren't fully done, so this gives me a little bit more time to be able to work on the song and get it finalized before I actually need to upload it to my distribution platform, which generally I need to do that about a month in advance. The next thing I need to do is actually consistently work on the song. Even if I'm just dedicating an hour a day or maybe even 30 minutes a day to working on the song, that will get me a lot further than trying to rush and get it done in 4 hours or something like that. And then with putting out music, there's actually a lot more than just putting out the music. There's also the promotion element. So I need to make sure that I am thinking of the promotion of my song while I'm also working on it at the same time. The final thing that I need to do for this goal is make sure that I am staying on schedule with my content creation to promote the single. So I've already created a schedule for my release strategy for when I'm gonna be shooting content and when I'm gonna be putting it out. And then the only thing that's really gonna change is what content I'm creating for this specific single, because that's gonna vary from song to song. This could really be a video all in itself. So if that is something that you're interested in, then you can let me know in the comments below. So now it's time to go into the third goal, which is build connections within the sync world. But before we go any further, if you are finding this behind the scenes vlog interesting, you can actually go ahead and hit the like button and let me know that you're actually enjoying this and you'd like to see more of that. So like I said, the third goal is to build connections within the sync world. So what I mean by building connections in the sync world is I want to start getting connected to some sync libraries and things like that. Basically the places that actually get the music to the film studios, TV shows, and things like that. So one thing that I need to do is I need to build a list of sync libraries and contacts. So I've already kind of started this, but I haven't been doing it consistently. I think the next thing that I need to do is, once again, which is going to be a theme, have a consistent time and schedule for when I work on researching sync libraries. The other thing that I need to do to be able to build these connections is make sure that my music is actually sync ready. So I think there's a couple different ways that I can do that. There are a few producers and artists in the sync world that actually make a lot of content surrounding that. I think that I should probably start getting involved with their content that they create. I'm gonna say interact with artists slash producers in the sync world. Obviously, I'm not gonna go anywhere in the sync world if my music isn't sync ready. So I need to work on preparing music for sync licensing. And now we are on to the fourth and final goal, which is start establishing a fan base. This one is a little bit harder to like put concrete goals on. But one thing that I think kind of feeds into that is a little bit of me creating consistent YouTube content, and also me doing really good with my release schedule for my music. So I'm gonna put those down for this. And there's other things that I can do, like be creating content on Instagram or creating content on TikTok for however much longer that will last potentially, because it seems like the US government does not like TikTok. But the thing that I'm trying to keep in mind is that I don't want to spread myself thin, and I already have 3 really time-consuming goals on hand. Whenever I have content surrounding those things, that's when I'm gonna be posting on social media. So what I'm gonna say is repurposing other content for social media platforms. So the last thing that I need to think about is, how do I know if I am seeing progress with my goals and objectives? The main thing that I would say is it's kind of obvious if I'm consistent with my YouTube content and if I'm consistent with my release schedule for my music, because those are kind of more about being consistent. But when it comes to building connections with the sync world and establishing a fan base, those are a little bit harder to put concrete indicators of my success. So this is kind of where you start to creep into that numbers territory with the fan base thing, for example. I'm not gonna set a really big goal for myself, but I would say that for me, a good indicator that I'm building a fan base is if I can get my YouTube channel to, let's say, like 2,500 subscribers. Currently, my YouTube channel is about 1,600 subscribers. So if I can essentially get another 1,000 subscribers and get to 2,500, then that's a really good sign that I'm heading in the right direction. Another thing that I can use as an indicator is if I can at least close out this year with 100 monthly listeners on Spotify. At the time of recording this, my monthly listeners are 6. So I have a long ways to go, but if I can get my monthly listeners to be more than 6, if I can even get it to 10, I just want to make sure that I'm increasing my monthly listeners, for example. So it doesn't have to be a real concrete goal. I just want to see my monthly listeners increase. In regards to building connections in the sync world, I think what's gonna be a good indicator of that is if I can at least start getting responses from some sync libraries, whether it's a no, we don't need your type of music at this point in time, but check back in later, or something where they're like, yeah, we want to work with you, things like that. So with that being said, I hope that you seeing me try to reorient myself and my goals about a quarter of the way through the year, I hope that motivates you for whatever your creative passions are to make sure that you are reorienting yourself. I know how as the year goes on, people can get really distracted, which is life. And I hope that I can be some kind of motivating factor to keep you on your task and pushing towards your goals. If you'd like to follow along with me on this journey as I continue to grow my content creation and music business, then definitely hit the subscribe button. And you can check out my last video about prioritizing your passions right here. Anyways, with that being said, I'll catch you in the next video.